I'm back in the country, back recording this episode of You Killed It, Sheldon, here talking about the challenge. How are you doing this morning?
I'm tired, but I'm okay. The challenge is a nice wake up. Actually, I watched it while I was uploading and editing last night. So then I slept for like, I don't know, 4 hours, 5 hours, something like that. No, I'd stick with 4, somewhere around there. But yeah, the challenge is a good wake up.
Yeah, it's like Folgers. You just need a little bit of the challenge in your mug, you know?
Yes, something like that.
Sure. We should say who we are. We should introduce ourselves. My name is John Chidley Hill.
And I am Sheldon Alexander.
As always. And this is You Killed It, the podcast about the challenge, talking about War of the Worlds.
Yep.
I just have to say, off the top, I really shout out to Jenna for doing the previously on the challenge intro at the start of last week's tire dragging competition.
Okay.
Because normally that intro is sort of like a corny ass I stopped to do push-ups and they'll do the 1,004, 1,005, and I was like, oh, that's actually I don't know. I think most people would be a little more focused on the fact that they're about to be dragged behind a monster truck on tires.
Yeah.
But also, Jenna never gets shook. That's one of the things that we love about her is that she never seems to get scared. So good for Jenna.
Yeah, she was pretty.
Just impressed.
She was pretty calm and cool. Some good acting.
Yes.
By Jenna, yeah.
She's a real natural read. What can we say?
Something like that. Speaking of bad acting, though, I feel like this episode was all bad acting by your man's Bear.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of fake acting going on in this episode, but entertaining nonetheless. I don't know when I'll get tired of the shtick, but I'm close. I'll say that.
That's fair. I'm pretty sick of Bear, and I'm pretty sick of Bear fans who try to just say, "Oh, he's just winding people up. He's just winding people up." I've never understood the British fascination with taking the piss, as they'd say, or winding people up. And especially, as you and I always say, especially in a circumstance where in the long run it's going to cost you. Yep. Right? And it's going to happen on the challenge. We'll get to it, but it almost cost Bear dearly that he's been putting a target on the UK Alliance's back. But he's not the only person I have a bone to pick with.
Okay.
We start off the episode with the UK Alliance, which is officially Theo, Georgia, Bear, Gorilla Ashley, and then Cam declares her set and says that she's in the UK Alliance because she's partnered with Gorilla Ashley. No mention of her budding relationship with Theo, but I digress. She says that she is the Owen Hart to their Nation of Domination. She's in there.
Wow, that's a reference right there. Wow.
That is a deep cut. But she's in there with the UK Alliance. Interestingly, Bear says his target still has to be Polly and Ninja, even though Wes called him out. And I have to say, as annoying as I find Bear, it's the right decision. Polly has a stronger alliance. He's, at least on the surface, seemingly a better competitor than Wes. He's up there, and Ninja is a very strong competitor. So I will give props to Bear for doing what you and I have been critical of Polly and Kara for doing, where he puts the game ahead of his personal vendettas. So as annoying as he is, I think targeting Polly and Ninja is the right call.
No, I totally agree. I think Bear doing that's probably the first smart gameplay move in terms of, trying to get the other side. Obviously, making the alliance, sticking to your alliance is a big boy move and a good move by the UK crew. The one thing about Cam, as you brought up, you got to remember, Nani did point out in the previous episode that she thought Cam was doing a lot of politicking, probably more so than the fact that she actually does like Theo, so that's kind of interesting. But also, Cam herself, I feel like she did say, she alluded to this a couple episodes back, right? That, the UK alliance is the more dominant side of the house, and this has been weeks in the making. So now to have it solidified, it does seem weird, but the writing's been on the wall. And to me, I was kind of surprised by the other side of it, that Kyle was very quick to be like, oh no, I'm not with them, despite the fact that he is obviously friends with some of them, or there's a tie at some point there, not just the fact that he's also from the UK. But do you know what I mean? Like, there's actual, like, ties. I think he has prior relationships with some of them, but also Maddie, right? Like, I thought because Zahida, remember, like, Zahida and Maddie, I thought they were crew with Georgia, and I thought that would automatically at least give Kyle some allegiance to that side, but not so much. So I found that part of it interesting, as well as the rest of the crew realizing, well, they're all grouping up, and all we're doing is picking each other off.
And I have to give credit to Nani here, because she's really leading the charge.
Correct.
Right? Like, this might be the most outspoken we've seen Nani in terms of gameplay. Like, ever. Not just this season, but, like, on any season she's been on. Nani has never really taken the lead. And she's just dropping truth bombs. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, she's saying, like, hey, there's 6 of our teams versus their 4. We have to stop picking each other off, which is what a certain very intelligent, handsome Canadian podcast has been saying constantly. Correct. So I was impressed with Nani in this scene.
Totally true. I totally agree. And I still don't get how, I mean, not to skip too far ahead, but I still don't get how it doesn't play out, right? Like, it just makes no sense to me. But anyways.
Yeah, we have to talk about that. But first, we have to talk about Josh and Amanda. And, like, on the one hand, at first I'm like, oh, this is good. They're talking about improving their communication. They're working on being a team. And, like, I'm a huge Amanda fan. I think she's awesome. I feel bad for her that she's so disliked, although, admittedly, that might be a product of her personality.
Yeah, but she plays a role in it.
Josh is also trying to flirt with Amanda. And, like, man, talk about Beauty and the Beast. Like, are you going to tell me that Amanda is going to go from Joss, who is arguably the world's perfect man, to Josh?
Hey, you never know.
Like, whoa.
You never know.
What? I think I do know. I don't want to speak for Amanda, but I think there is no fucking way. And just, like, Josh has zero game. Like, you're our Big Brother expert. Is this typical of Josh's flirtations? Because he's shitty at flirting. I mean, it doesn't help that Amanda is not having it, but, like...
2 things. One, Josh really wasn't into the like showmance angle. Like, that side wasn't really there for him in the Big Brother house. So to kind of see him show this side and be that open about it, I kind of want to see what led up to that, because clearly they've been getting along a lot better than first we saw on this season. So I kind of want to see what led to him being this comfortable. Obviously, there's not enough time on the show, but that's what intrigued me the most. I was just kind of like, whoa, how did we end up here? But on top of that, I'm not mad at Josh. Shooters shoot, man. Got to shoot to score.
That's fair. That's fair. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
For sure. And also, you look at Amanda. Amanda is, like, she's turning them down, but she's, like, joking around about it and being super nice about it. Like, she's not just, like, being mean and, like, straight dissing them. So there's some kind of like there, you know what I mean? Like she definitely has some appreciation for Josh, which is kind of cool. And, you know, we wouldn't have thought that by the time we were watching the first episode. So you never know. You never know. Plus, as Josh said, the point that he brought up that we could never fully understand unless we were in the position. But he was just like, hey, we've been locked up in this house together for how long, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a point that you just never know. You just never know. The longer you stay in that house, the more certain urges might pop back up. The more, you know, someone might start looking not so bad. You just don't know.
So,
shoot or shoot, man. I'm not mad at you, Josh.
So you're saying it's like a deserted island situation?
Oh, totally. And plus, while you're watching everyone else cuddle up as well.
Yes, and there was quite a bit of that this episode. But first, we have the competition.
Yes.
What was it called? I didn't note it down. I was too busy typing about Josh and Amanda to catch whatever this week's pun was.
It's called Eye in the Sky.
Oh, that's a weak ass pun. That's a little disappointing as a fan of puns.
I mean, it's not that bad.
So the competitors, this is very complicated. The competitors, like each partnership, were sort of linked back to back, and one of them was blindfolded, but had a GoPro cam, and the other one had VR goggles. The one who was walking backwards had VR goggles and had to like communicate with their partner as they walked around this beam. It's sort of like do a U.
Yep.
On the beams. Of course, elevated it like at a great height in the air, because that is how the challenge does most things, is high up in the air. I thought this would be super hard. I don't know that I could do this, and like I'm pretty good with heights, but like, have you ever done virtual reality?
No. I'd be so terrified of doing this. This shit was hard. Like, I don't care how easy some other people made it look. But it's not only the fact that you're that high up, only one of you can see, but the amount of trust that you would need to have in your partner if you're the one that's, well, either way, if you're afraid of heights and you're the one with the goggles, right, so you can see how high you are, it was weird to me because there were two lines of thinking. The first one, which would be the most obvious to me, would be you tell the person, keep your head straight, and I'll tell you whether to walk straight so that, because I'm the one that can see, right? Like, and you're the person with the goggles that can see would be directing the traffic. But to me, what they ended up showing was the people who were very successful were the people who couldn't see, and they were just going by feel. And the person with the goggles was just kind of along for the ride, which I thought was super odd, because I don't want to be along for the ride with the person that can't see, right?
No.
Like, that seemed so weird to me.
Have you ever... So you've never done virtual reality?
Sorry, was that your question? And I did not answer it at all. It just rambled?
No, you did. I was just confirming.
My bad.
Because, like, something I like to do is there is a large movie theater in downtown Toronto. It has a Rubik's Cube as sort of like its corner. I'm not going to name, because we are not corporate shills on You Killed It. I'm not going to say what it is. If you live in Toronto, you know it. The point is, on the main floor of this movie theater, they now have like virtual reality where you have like this little booth, and like you can rent the booth by I think every 5 minutes, and you can play virtual reality games.
Okay.
And if you ever want to laugh, Sheldon, you're allowed to like look in on people's booths as they're doing it, and it is hilarious because they can barely move because they're like so freaked out by the VR. And that's when they're on flat ground with no stakes, and no one tied to them. And like you will see people like losing their balance just from the VR goggles. So to be doing this on a balance beam while tied to someone, and like that person might be Turbo, who isn't the best communicator, or like it might be like Josh and Amanda, who have a huge height disparity, which would also be hard because even if you're taking baby steps, like it's gonna be hard to match baby steps.
True.
And like Josh looks like a very gangly, awkward person. So like the whole thing, I think would be very, very hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those challenges where I try to bring this up every once in a while, but it was one of those things where it looks super hard, but I still don't even think how difficult it is actually transfers onto television.
Yeah.
Right? Like
another thing,
I think they did a good job.
Go ahead.
I think they did a good job of showing it, but clearly you could tell by the way that they cut down the segment in terms of just showing people go right to the end. Right? Like there was a little montage of people that just made it right to the end, and they didn't show that much of them actually out on the course. But that's because visually, if someone's just doing a really good job, there's not really much to see, right? But who was it? Was it Gus that ran across basically, and then they just jumped because he said he counted the steps? Yeah. Like, how difficult would that be? The mental, like, focus you would have to do that. And then add in the fact that Jenna's just trusting him? Jeez.
Gus also made the point that they were going to fall anyway. Like, they were losing their balance, so he just gunned it.
Okay.
Which is smart, right? Like, if you're already, like, can feel that you're losing your balance, might as well give her.
True. No, that's true.
One thing that I think also makes this difficult is that the beam is padded, which is necessary for safety reasons, right? Because they know that, like, let's say we'll use Josh and Amanda. If Josh tips over, you need to protect Amanda's head, right? Which
totally,
hence the padding. But it's harder to walk on padding, right? Like you're because it engages your ankles more. Like it's harder to stay balanced when things are soft. So it's tough, man. It's tough. But the people who it was funny. I thought that I was really impressed early on that Polly and Ninja and Turbo and Nani made it, but then they all got beat. Like when they did it, I was like, "Oh, these are going to be the two teams to beat." Like they just put themselves in a great position. But then Wes and D crushed it. Bear and Davon did really well, and as we mentioned, Gus and Jenna, because of Gus's little gambit, really paid off. I have to note too, it's whenever Bear is speaking into the camera like ahead of a competition, Davon's face is hilarious. Like Davon is already super gif worthy. Like there's so many, like she's people who do not follow reality TV are already familiar with the gif of Davon leaving the Big Brother house and she like has like a big flourish.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like people who are not into Big Brother or reality TV know that gif. Like she is, and she was recently in another one where someone put together a whole series of gifs and like they screen, like she's just like such an expressive person, and her face, just anytime Bear opens her mouth and she has to stand beside him, like she always looks like she is waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like she's always ready for him to say something more ridiculous, and it's so funny. I love it.
That's amazing. I mean, it's funny to see, but you mentioned Bear and the antics of Bear. What did you make of him yelling while other people were up there? Like, do you think that was, just all in the game, like it's allowed, nothing wrong with it, or do you take it as poor sportsmanship?
Oh, I think it's totally allowed.
Okay.
I think it's totally fair game. It's annoying. Like I'd be annoyed, but I think it's fair game.
Okay. Interesting. My thing on that was, I found it weird to call Bear out for doing it and think that he was being lame and being terrible, and then to do it yourself. I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if he does it to you and you think it's that whack, okay, cool, call him out for it. But I'm not going to do it back to him because that just puts me on his level, right? And if I thought it was lame that he did it, then it's even more lame. Then I'm copying him. That's what I thought. Like, I understand why they were doing it. Like, oh, I'm going to get him back. But, I mean, really? Like, do we think that's going to happen? Do we think that's going to have an effect on him? That's what I kind of thought was weird. The other part that I thought was weird was Bear celebrating and then dabbing. I mean,
yes,
dabbing is canceled unless you're Sansa Stark chugging wine at a hockey game. But
yeah,
other than that, come on, man. Shouts to Sansa, though, by the way.
No.
Sansa.
Big shouts to Sansa. Shouts to Sansa. But, yeah, I mean, he dabbed on the first episode, didn't he?
He did.
And we roasted him then?
Yep, he did.
Ugh. What is he, like a 7-year-old kid at a Toronto Rock game? Like, pump the brakes, bud.
There's someone listening right now, and they're like, who are the Toronto Rock? I thought it was the Raptors.
Well, we won't say who the Toronto Rock are. Maybe we'll get them a little extra Google searches.
Hey.
We'll up their SEO just a little bit. So then, of course, we've got the nominations, which were super interesting.
Okay.
Gus makes a little speech on Jenna's behalf, basically, saying that they're going for Josh and Amanda because Jenna has a personal issue with Amanda for Amanda's ongoing interference in her relationship with Zach.
Yeah.
Wes and Dee, I love how Wes nominated Cam and Ashley, but he just walked over to the board, grabbed their like little piece of metal and like put it on the table, like not a word, just did it. And I think one of the things that we have to talk about just briefly is that Wes and Dee are doing such a good job of being on the same page.
Totally.
Like to the point that we don't even see them having discussions. And it's not, I have the sense that's not Wes taking the lead and be like, no, we're doing this. Like, Dee is on board.
Yeah, they seem to be equal partners. And the reality is that, your partnership, the way you get along with your partner probably represents 90% of the success you're going to have in this game, at least, if not more. Like, that's a cool part to me. And you're totally right about that. This nomination ceremony, and even if you go to the tribunal, or is that what it's called, tribunal? Why do I forget the name of it every week? But anyways.
Because they change it every season, that's why.
Fair enough. But there was no lack of communication. There was no, show being put on. It was just strictly business. This is what we're thinking. This is our game plan. Now, even though I disagree with said game plan, and I know we didn't get to Davon and Bear yet, which is probably the majority of this conversation, but I still don't...
That was by design.
I just don't understand, Amanda and Gus, right? Like, really? You're going to waste time taking out Josh and Amanda? Like, what purpose does that serve? That makes no sense to me at all. Even if you think that she did involve herself in you and Zach's relationship, do you know what the best or better way to get back at her is? For you yourself to win the money. Do you know what's a better way for you to win the money?
Yeah.
Not put up someone who could be on your side of the house. Like, the better way for you to do that, to win the money, which would help you and Zach's relationship, would be to team up with people who the other side of the house is already targeting. Like, that's the way to go at it. You not only had the numbers, we just went over the fact that they had the conversation where they realized the numbers and the divide in the house, and you realize that you have more numbers. So now what do you do when you get a chance to actually affect the change in the house? You eliminate your numbers? What?
I know.
I don't get it.
I know. Again, this is what I was just moments ago actually praising Bear for, and what you and I have been critical of Cara and Pauly all season. Do you want to win money, or do you want to stick it to your nemesis? Right? And if in this situation, because Gus and Jenna are an all-American team, in that they are all in that alliance. If they had targeted another British team so that you have both Cam and Ashley, and then say, I don't know, Theo and Cara up, well then like the Brits are in real trouble, right? Yep. Like it just increases your odds.
The other part I didn't get to is why is Wes trying to burn his vote?
You mean like now or later in the episode?
No. Like at the beginning, because when they're sitting here during the nomination ceremony, who did Wes and them end up picking who? Because Davon and Bear end up arguing, but they're arguing over Pauly. But who did
Wes and Dee ended up nominating Gorilla, Ashley, and Cam. So
he wanted to.
So an entirely UK alliance team.
So he's saying he's burning his vote just for the sake of Bear being there, right? Like Bear thinking, oh, okay, he's wasting a vote. Even though he's really not. Even though Jenna and Gus should be sitting there being like, oh, the smart thing to do would be to put these guys in. It's just weird to me. None of this makes sense. But also the flip side is maybe if you throw those people in, maybe they just end up choosing Josh and Amanda to go against anyways. I don't know. But
I don't know why Wes said it was a burn vote, because I think putting up Ashley and Cam was the best possible nomination.
I agree. I totally agree.
Because they're the only entirely UK alliance team.
Totally agree.
Right? Yep. Like Cam off the top said that she's like all in on the UK alliance. Gorilla Ashley is like obviously the thing of their Fantastic Four. So you gotta like that's just a slam dunk. And also you can't nominate Bear because not only did he make the tribunal, but they had the relic. So
correct.
And Georgia and Hunter are like Hunter is Wes's closest ally. So it just I don't know, it was obvious that he had to nominate them. Like it was I don't know why he described it as a burn. But then we have Davon and Bear. Davon off the top says Nani and Turbo. Mm-hmm. Bear refuses.
Like he doesn't even want to have the discussion. Like he's just like, no, we're picking. And the part that really sucks for Davon was her argument is legit. She said, hey, I let you select when we were on the killing floor and you wanted to pick what team we went at. I let you pick and you picked Leroy and Shailene, and I didn't want to go against them. She was friends with them. And I mean that's totally right. Seems reasonable. And Bear's just like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And the girl is crying. Sorry, I shouldn't call her a girl. This woman is crying in front of you, and Bear is still like, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And he wants to vote in Pauly. And again, I understand his argument as well.
Yeah.
But to have no part of you that wants to compromise or even listen to your partner, even pretend as if you're listening to your partner, just weird.
Weird, but I mean, both of their arguments make sense. Davon's big mistake was that I don't know that they had a previously agreed upon you nominate one week, I nominate the next week. You know what I mean?
It's fair.
Like that's something you need that shit in writing. but also I don't fully understand. Like Bear could have given it to her. You know what I mean? Like she wanted to nominate Nani and Turbo. They're not part of the UK alliance. Like it's Nani and Turbo are also a very good team. Nani is one of the leaders of the sort of American alliance that's forming. So like it's Davon's like choice is not a bad strategic decision at all. So if you're Bear, like why not?
Yeah, and
right? Like
it's like you can wait to go at Pauly and Ninja, right? Like it doesn't have to be this week. There's no need for it to be this week, in fact. So that was a part that was really odd to me. And also, you can gain some currency with your partner going forward. Imagine if he conceded this week and just said, you know what, Davon, you're right. I'm going to let you have this pick. Next time around, she's not going to argue with you. She's going to say, no, Bear's being really fair right now. And she might cut you some slack. But instead, I don't know, that partnership might be done. That level of trust can't be there anymore, can it?
No, I don't. I mean, the thing is, what can Davon do?
Also true. Also true.
And you know what sucks? And this is what is frustrating about Polly, is that as soon as it comes out that the, like, who's been nominated, Polly is talking not shit about Davon, but is angry with Davon and is like, how can I trust you?
Yeah.
Well, like, buddy, and like, D is defending Davon to Polly, and he's still not having it. Like,
yeah,
like, ask everyone else in the room. Like, she did. It's not like she just rolled over. She fought. Like, I don't know what more she could have done.
No, I totally agree with you in that sense. It was. I felt bad for her because even when Polly and Bear are having the conversation afterwards, she's just kind of sitting there sheepishly in the corner, and Bear still gives zero fucks. It's just such a weird, odd situation, and I feel really bad for her. And I feel like most of the other housemates got to realize what's going on as well. But I do want to shout out Amanda in the sense that she said, in reference to Gus and Jenna, she calls them, what she called them, such plain Jane losers for picking them.
Yeah.
And she's right. No, like, that's not a move. That's such a waste of a bullet. I don't know.
Yeah. At like a critical time, too.
Totally agree. I don't know. I didn't get it. Didn't understand it. I'm with Amanda on that one. And did you find it weird that the actual tribunal, like, nothing really went down? To me, like, the biggest thing to come out of it was just Ashley and Cam just staring down everybody. I thought that was just super odd. But other than that, nothing in the tribunal, no?
I need to be critical of Cam here. And longtime listeners know that I love Cam.
Killer.
But she's full of shit this episode.
Ooh. Spicy.
Because you know what? You can't be saying like, oh, we're in the UK alliance. We're a super strong alliance. And then get mad when you get nominated by someone on the other side of the house.
True.
Right?
Yep.
Like, are you about that life or are you not? You can't like declare for the Bloods and then get mad when the Crips shoot at you. Like,
ooh, I see what you did there.
You can't do it. Like, if you're, and like, this is, the UK people have such strong reactions to when they get nominated. Do they honestly think that they're going to coast to the end without ever being nominated? Like, just like mathematically speaking, you're going to get nominated. Like, it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And also, I would say right now, like, and I'd be interested to know how you think it is. I think even though the Americans have numbers, I feel like the UK is running the house.
They're totally running the house because their focus is aimed in one direction. Right? Like, it's just, this is the other side of the house. We're taking down people who are not with us. If you're not with us, you're against us. Meanwhile, the other side of the house is split. When they should be together, what was it, 6 teams? Instead, Jenna's out here trying to get out Amanda, who's on that one side. Then you have Paulie and Kyle going at each other still. Well, sorry, Paulie, Kyle, and, well, I guess Kara's on the other side, technically, right? But it should be so easy with Kara essentially being on the other side. So you remove her. Paulie would kind of be a singular team, kind of, sort of. Maybe if you were going to take a shot, I would kind of at least understand that. But no.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so weird to me. You have Kyle and Maddie going at Paulie. Paulie going at Kyle. Like, it just makes no sense to me. I don't understand it. It makes me wonder if, like, you know, the people who are on, like, the vets, you're supposed to be experienced in the game. So why is the game plan so flawed, and why are the new people the ones who are playing the better game?
I have a theory about that, actually. I'm glad you brought it up.
Listening.
I think that the back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back seasons of the challenge that they're doing has burnt out the longtime veterans.
Oh.
Like, I think they're worn out and not thinking straight.
Okay.
And although Wes, and like, we can extend it further, Wes and Nani have not been on the challenge for some time. Mm-hmm. And they're playing the game very intelligently, right? Like, on the American side, Wes and Nani are the voices of reason, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And to a lesser extent, Leroy is.
Correct.
But Wes and Nani have had a break, right? Like, they're... If you think about, like, Kara, and to a lesser extent, Polly, they have... And Jenna, and Zach, and Amanda, and even Cam and Ashley, they have been on, like... They've been on challenges more than they've been at home at this point in the past year. Right? And it's not just being on the challenge, it's that not only are you, like, out of the country for 4 or 5 weeks or however long your filming schedule is, but then you're, like, fighting the Twitter wars, and you're doing the reunion, and you're doing the promotional tours, right? Like, I think part of the problem is that they're all burnt out and just, like, not thinking straight, whereas Bear and Georgia and Gorilla Ashley and Theo, they're coming in with fresh eyes.
Makes sense.
Right? Because, like, who knows what they're up to before this. And again, I would throw Wes and Nani in there too, that they have a clearer vision of what's going on and can keep their eyes on target because they have, like, that space. That emotional space.
No, that definitely makes sense.
So, I don't know.
That's a good theory.
I think that's a big factor on this season.
It's a solid theory. Solid theory.
So, we've got another club scene, and as our club aficionado, our club night on the challenge #1 fan, what did you think of this scene? Because we're seeing some people getting pretty cozy.
It was couple central, right? And that was the thing that jumped off the page, or jumped off my screen, I guess, because before we even get to the club, it's like on the way to the bus, and all of a sudden you're seeing, like, they're on the bus, and it's Nani and Hunter, it's Killa Cam and Theo already. It's just like, whoa, okay. I didn't realize it, I guess, until it was just so much in the face. Kyle and Maddie, I kind of forgot about them for an episode or two, I guess. But it's just very much like, whoa, okay, this is what's going on here. And it's like the couples outnumber the people who are not hooking up almost, no? Like, which kind of further leads you to why Josh would be in Josh mode, no? He's looking around and he's just like, oh man, what's going on here? He sees Cam and Theo and he's like, oh, can I have that with my partner? It's just odd. The actual club scene, I would call this more of a, seemed like just a chill. Like a night out, maybe some nice dinner. I didn't want to point out Theo's terrible shirt. Like, Theo and Cam's outfit as
You didn't like it?
Not really my thing. Not for me. I mean, maybe he pulled it off. Okay, I don't know. Not really my swag, let's say. Maybe, as the kids say, he's dripping too hard, right? That's a thing.
I mean, I've got a question. So they're like, I don't want to say they're a couple, but they're an in-house couple.
It's a showmance.
It's a showmance. And, like, don't you think that, like, not that you have to be in matching outfits, but you want to, like, coordinate with your romantic interests?
Do you?
Like, you want to...
Is that a thing?
Well, I think that, like, their outfits are both so bold and like have nothing to do with each other.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like they're not the same colors, they're like not the same style at all. Mm-hmm. And like it almost looks like they clash in terms of outfits.
Yeah.
This by the way is why I don't get invited to a lot of parties, because I will look at people at parties and be like, "Why aren't you like dressed better?"
Oh, wow. Shots fired. Jeez. Yeah, the outfits were a little crazy, but the biggest thing that come out of this was, you pointed out earlier, the job that Nani was doing in terms of trying to rally the other side of the house. Well, she upped that by bringing Jenna and Amanda together and trying to at least have them talk it out, which I thought was the best move of the season by anyone on that side of the house. But also, Amanda just made she was spitting knowledge. She just saying, what would Zach do? Because if Zach and Amanda made up before Zach got sent home, obviously Jenna was there to see that. Obviously Jenna should know that. And she should be able to, on some level, put aside whatever pettiness she has against Amanda. Because, hey, we know Zach and Amanda had beef. And so for Amanda to just say, what do you think Zach would do if he was still here? I mean, she's right. No?
She's totally right. And I would add that you can always get Amanda later. Like Amanda and Josh from the American side of the house have the fewest allies.
Correct.
Right? Like the 6 teams that Nani is trying to put together into an alliance, they're not, like, that alliance isn't going to last forever, and Amanda and Josh piss everyone off all the time. Mm-hmm. So, like, and also, it's not just that, like, it's not just thinking long term, but also take care of the immediate threats. Right?
Interesting.
Like that, like, and what is the immediate threat to you? Is it Amanda and Josh? No. The immediate threat is the UK alliance. So, like, focus on the immediate thing.
Yeah.
So,
solid job by Nani.
And you're right.
Good job by us.
You're right. Nani has her shit straight, and this again comes back to my point. I think she's seeing clearly because she's got fresh eyes.
No, that makes sense. A great job by Nani. Solid job by Amanda. Horrible job by Jenna.
But speaking of horrible jobs, Gorilla Ashley takes great offense to Amanda. I guess he thinks it's politicking, but takes great offense to Amanda speaking to Jenna.
Yeah.
At the behest of Nani, and like calls her a bitch. And like goes after her a little.
I really didn't understand this. He kept saying she's not acting like a lady. It was really weird. But one thing we've noticed, or at least I've noticed, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but these scenes have been edited really oddly. Like, it's super strange. I don't know why I just couldn't form a sentence, but you get the point of what I'm trying to say here, if I could speak on more than 4 hours sleep. But a lot of these scenes, the way that they're edited together, it seems so odd, no? Because you're seeing close-ups of people looking, like seemingly looking at what's going down, but then it seems so edited. So even Amanda, while she's watching Josh and Ashley, like, it just looks weird. Like, it looks like they're trying to make it seem like she's watching that, but she's clearly not watching that. And we've seen that a couple times, no? So I found...
Well, you know what? Here's what I agree with you. I think this episode was edited strangely throughout, like a lot of quick cuts. But I think that this scene in particular, this argument, why it got such a strange edit was that the editors are making a conscious decision to work around the Amanda being tied up controversy, which we have not discussed on this show.
Oh, yes.
And I think this is time.
You think that got
I think this
up?
is where we have to... Yeah, because I can imagine, for our listeners who are not familiar with this controversy, allegedly, and I say allegedly in the sense that I have to say that for legal protection, allegedly, Theo, Kyle, and Johnny Bananas wrapped tape around Amanda's face early on in the season. That argument that we saw where Josh and Amanda got into it, and like when he was doing the exorcism, like when he made the cross out of the
bananas
hangers, that argument that night led to one of them grabbing tape and wrapping it around Amanda's head and like taping her mouth and like taping her to a chair. And Davon was the first one to tweet about it, where she sort of did like a Twitter live or something like that. She posted a video where she said like, hey, like I found Amanda crying and like pulling her hair out because like the tape was on her hair, and that it was a really fucked up situation, and that in Davon's mind it's assault. And then Amanda has since tweeted that she's never going to go on the show again because MTV has not protected her. A lot of castmates have tweeted or through social media in some way made it clear that MTV has told them that they should not be tweeting about this taping incident. Pauly spoke about it on Cara. This is so complicated. Pauly went to visit Cara, and they had this thing where she was doing like a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live, and he was having a shower in the background, so you don't see him. Like, you hear the shower, and she's speaking into the camera, but you hear Pauly's voice, and Kara's like sort of reading the questions out to him, and they're responding to them. And Pauly went on at length about how he thought it was pretty fucked up how Amanda got taped up. And Cara sort of defended Kyle and Johnny and Theo's actions, whereas Pauly was super critical. My point is just that a lot of people who were there or who are close to Amanda have tweeted that this happened. And honestly, I believe that it did happen. And I think what happened in this scene from this most recent episode is, I bet in Josh's argument with Gorilla Ashley, he was saying things like, I'm so sick of Amanda being picked on. Like, it's fucked up that she got taped up. Your buddy Theo was part of that. Like, you guys all have to, like, lay off of her. Like, you don't have to like her, but, like, this bullying of Amanda has gone way too... Like, I can imagine that was... And I could equally imagine Gorilla Ashley being like, we should fucking tape her mouth up again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because definitely...
And I think that... I was going to say, I could see that leading to weird edits where MTV, Bun and Murray, whoever, is trying to work around that.
Yeah, you could tell that it was just really edited, because at one point it just jumps to Josh crying, but you don't really see or hear anything that's said that's like that over the top. And that's the part that seemed kind of weird to me, because you had Ashley just yelling she's not acting like a lady, and I didn't understand that. Like, that definitely seems like a comment that needs some kind of context. I'm not saying that it would ever make sense, because that just sounds like a dumbass comment to begin with, but do you know what I mean? Like, you could clearly tell something was missing, and he couldn't have been that mad at her just going on and on and on about her trying to politic. Like, that just seems stupid. And the way that I call it the Bachelor editing, and I talked about this before, but in case there's new listeners, the reasons why I can't watch The Bachelor is because it's so heavily edited that, you know, you're hearing sentences chopped up, right? You're hearing sentences or words chopped up to form sentences that you know weren't really said, and then they cover it up with a cover shot, so you don't actually see the person's face while they're talking, because it's editing. So we saw a lot of that in this scene, and the way that Amanda was just saying that, you know, she's not going to stop Josh because she appreciates Josh sticking up for her, and that's what he's doing right now, and she really likes that. Like, you could tell that something happened, but we don't know what happened. And the other part of what you were just talking about, John, was I'd seen them tweet about it. And so I read up a little bit on the situation and the fact that like you had people that went back and deleted tweets. So I don't know if like that was part of their contract, as if like, you know, MTV threatened something, right? Because people were talking about how or fans, I should say, where they had screenshots of like things that people said about the situation that then went away. And I think that's kind of crazy. That's really messed up. That also adds in the angle that we talked about before, because Johnny Bananas was involved, and we know that Johnny Bananas, obviously, there's always the rep that they're trying to protect Johnny Bananas and don't want to put him in compromising positions. If you remember what happened last year with him and why can't I think of his name now? When he was talking about his dad dying, and Johnny Bananas supposedly...
Oh, Devin, yeah.
Johnny Bananas supposedly said some really out-of-line things, and that part was edited out, supposedly, allegedly, doing air quotes right now. So it's just a super weird situation and an awkward situation. But end of the day, I give Josh a lot of credit for standing up for his partner. Even though we don't know what happened, we probably, I mean, maybe after the season airs, we'll find out what happens, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I know I've been saying like allegedly and maybe. Like, I do believe them. Like, there's so many people who aren't even friends with Amanda who said it happened. I mean, even Cara, like, she defended them, but she acknowledged it happened. Like, I'm sure it did happen. I'm just covering my ass for the sake of, for legal reasons. And I really hope that MTV, like, comes clean and addresses it, because like that's assault. Like, it's not acceptable behavior at all.
Yeah.
And like they should come down on that. And honestly, I mean, I've been saying this at this point for years. I really think it's time for Johnny Bananas to get a break from the show. I'm not saying gone forever. I'm just saying, like, again, to my point of like the longtime veterans on the show being burnt out. I think that like it would be good for him and the show to take a step back, just for even for one season.
Yeah,
I think it would be good.
So update, while you were just talking there, yes, I was listening to what you just said, but I also went to Amanda's Twitter page because something just told me that, you know, chances are Amanda would give us a little bit of insight, even if she wasn't really allowed to. She definitely would. And so there was a teaser clip from this episode of Josh and Ashley going at each other, right? Teasing, like, it's a teaser clip from MTV put out on Twitter. And Amanda quote tweeted it and said, "I hope they show why this shit really," all in caps, started, with the inquisitive emoji. Then there's, as we go along, Amanda says... the camera thing was not clear, like they were showing literally. Oh, that was a goggle part. Sorry. This part. This makes no sense. They're trying to show Ashley mad at me politicking. No, he was mad I wouldn't sit next to him on the bus. That's what started him and Josh. Seriously, this season makes no sense.
Huh. Interesting.
Right? So I mean, we're right in the sense that it's just something completely different that has nothing to do with politicking, right? And it would kind of make sense because remember, when Ashley came back and he's just yelling, you could tell, as I like to say all the time, the Remy's in the system, right?
Yeah.
And so you could see that situation where Amanda would be super uncomfortable. Josh would try to defend her in that situation. Amanda also doing a lot of shouting out to Josh, saying, "I love you, Josh. You have a heart of gold. I'm so lucky to have you as a partner. Thank you for having my back. It meant the world."
I will say, on the Challenge Instagram account, they had the clip that you're referring to of Ashley and Josh fighting, and both Marie and Sylvia commented saying like, I think Marie's exact words were, "Josh is a whole ass man," and Sylvia just did like a bunch of heart emojis. Like, I bet that what happened was Amanda came back, was talking to her friends who were not on the show, and they were like, "Hey, how'd it go?" And she was like, "Well, this fucked up thing happened, and this fucked up thing happened, but my partner stood up for me."
Yeah. Definitely.
Right? Like,
and is it weird? And I know this is terrible, and I don't want to lead us down a deep convo on this at all, but I just want to throw this out there and let people simmer on it. As I read that tweet that Amanda just said about, Ashley being mad at her for not sitting next to him on the bus, is it weird that automatically my initial instinct is I 1000% believe her? Not because it's Amanda, but more so Ashley, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking juice, allegedly. I'm doing air quotes, which I don't even know if that lessens the blow that I just accused him of being on steroids. Like, I don't think that's how it works.
Have you? No, hold on.
But do you know what I'm saying, though?
I'm with you. I do. Have you ever seen a photo of Ashley when he first appeared on UK reality TV?
No.
The way he looks now looks like he ate himself. Like, he looks twice as big as he did back then. I forget what show he was on originally. I will try to find it. But someone posted a photo of him, from his original cast photo from his original show, and he is legitimately 80 pounds heavier now.
Oh, wow.
Unrecognizable.
Yeah.
A much bigger dude.
And I know I'm tiptoeing around it, and I kind of just made a joke of it, and it's not something to joke about, but I'm just saying, it just seemed like a situation that I could see Amanda being super uncomfortable with. Ashley, we know that Ashley and Zahida had a little something, but she's gone, and everyone, as we just mentioned, everyone in the house is trying to hook up somehow, some way, and they're coming back from partying. And you can see that situation happening where, he's trying to put the moves on Amanda. She's not having it. And then it turns into that loser dude move where now I got to diss the girl because she didn't like me. Right? And Josh sticks up for her. I don't know. I could see that happening. And yes, I'm just blindly believing Amanda here based off a tweet. I don't know any better. But when I see the video of Ashley's behavior, that makes sense to me. That explanation makes sense.
He played professional soccer, eh?
I didn't know that.
Ashley played professional football, so I know you have your computer open. Do a Google image search. Ashley Cain spelled Cain, football. And I invite our listeners to do likewise. And just do a Google image search. I will wait for your reaction.
I mean, is it really that crazy? That's funny. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Oh, I mean, yeah, that's
I'm just
that's
saying. His body shape has changed significantly since he was always fit.
Yeah.
If you're playing professional soccer in England, you're going to be fit.
Yeah.
But I think there's a sizable difference in how he looks now versus how he looked back then.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. I don't know, man. I just found that situation completely odd. The way that it was cut together, the way that it looked, it seemed to jump up a couple levels. And I really wonder if that's the case and that's really what he was mad at. That would kind of explain them editing all of it out. If you really think about how this episode plays out in the end, right? Because you want to avoid any and all Amanda drama if you're the producers and just kind of, I hate to say this, but sweep it under the rug. And I'm not saying you should do this. I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm just saying that's a situation the producers found themselves in. No?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
And it sucks. And I hope we do hear the full story, the real story. I hope it comes to light, just because that's terrible. If that's a thing that really did happen, I would hope that there would be some accountability on the part of Ashley, who then, I mean, as I say that, I have the episode playing in the background, and he's just like screaming, like, and it's like, yeah. I'm sticking with my theory here, with the quote-unquote allegedly. I know that you're the journalist, right? You're the journalist. I'm not. So, yes.
No, you're using it correctly. You gotta say allegedly a lot. So then we have the actual killing floor.
Yep.
I do think it's hilarious that Bear is wearing like a Soviet Union hat, like that winter hat with the flaps. Obviously, Bear votes for Polly and Ninja. Davon makes the best possible choice and votes for Cam and Ashley.
Yep.
And then things, and obviously, was Gus and Jenna stick with Josh and Amanda, and I think something that we must discuss is that Wes and Dee both vote for Josh and Amanda.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that, but I think
I didn't understand it either.
I think it was a late adjustment by Wes to kind of get out from underneath of picking Ashley and Cam, right? Like maybe try to lessen the blow, because I think the end result probably would have been the same. Like if they vote for Ashley and Cam, they go in and they pick Josh and Amanda. Like, I think that's probably what ends up happening anyways. But at least in this version, Wes can have a little bit of deniability where he can say, oh, no, you guys were my burn vote all along. I just said that. But I always planned on voting the other team when it came down to it.
Yeah. There's part of me that wonders if Wes is thinking, because, so we should say Josh and Amanda go in. But then they call out Ashley and Cam, and I kind of wonder if that was part of Wes's plan.
Yeah.
Like, because Amanda's very good in competitions, and I wonder if the thinking was like, oh, we will, like, assassinate, like, we will take them out at Amanda and Josh's hands, and then Amanda and Josh have the relic.
Interesting.
Right? And, like, Amanda and Josh of the American Alliance are probably the weakest.
Yeah.
They're probably the most exposed member of the Alliance. So if you can put them into a position where you think they'll win and get a relic, then that just strengthens your alliance. So maybe that was the logic, and maybe that was cut out. Because, like, throughout this season, I think Wes and Dee have played a flawless game, right? Like, they're winning competitions, they're making wise political choices.
Yep.
So it doesn't wholly, and like, Wes is smart enough to know that, like, if you're going to nominate Ashley and Cam and piss them off, you better try to get rid of them as best you can. So maybe that got left out by the editors. I'm not sure.
No, that makes sense.
I like this competition. I like this elimination, though, where it's essentially, what do they call it? It's a salmon pull-up, I think it's called.
I wish I could help you, but I have no idea.
In any event, the idea is that you've got
I was just
a pull-up bar.
There. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I still love you. They've got this pull-up bar, and they're basically on, like, a slide, and they have to move the pull-up bar up the slide and then pull themselves up and, like, find a way. And Josh and Amanda pull ahead really fast. I think it helps that Amanda's so small and that, like, she has essentially zero fat on her, right? Yeah. So, like, any weight she has on her is still working. Whereas Cam and Ashley are much bigger people.
Yeah.
And although Josh is, of the four of them, Josh is the least athletic, he makes the most of his height and just basically like stretches out between the two sides, and they're just like pushing the bar up quickly, and Amanda's pulling herself up, and then like he pushes them up. So he's essentially doing like a gorilla press.
Yes.
But it looks like they're going to win. But the rungs that the bar is held in are like they're sort of in a V, and they're pulling further and further apart, and they lose the pole comes out of the bar, or it comes off the rungs, and they slide all the way down. So then it comes down to Cam and Ashley having to just get as far or further than Amanda and Josh did. And so it essentially shortens the slide for Cam and Ashley. And they have a smart strategy where when the rungs start to drift apart, they go back to back.
Yeah.
So that their legs are longer. And that's all she wrote. Cam and Ashley win. Josh and Amanda are out.
Amanda pointed out that she thinks that if you were allowed to restart and go again, that they would have won, because the one part was she said that they took so long, right? And she felt like some form of time should have been part of the challenge, which is interesting, right? It's an interesting point, interesting twist. But at the end of the day, the rules are the rules, right? And, I mean, I feel like it might have been quicker, too, if you added the race element to it, like, somehow. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you make it higher, or for each bar higher, you lose time, or time is... I don't know. There could have been a way that time should have mattered. And I agree with that. But either way, Killa Cam does her thing again in an elimination. And what did she say? Ashley is the beast to her Killa.
Yeah.
So
Ashley tweeted this morning, haha, people hating. Me and Cam were balanced. We knew they'd struggle at the top as Josh is big and Amanda is small. They did good though. I also have to tell you that Ashley has terrible spelling and grammar. He also then tweeted, want to say big up to Josh and Amanda. They did well and were unlucky. Despite last night's episode, I got on with both of them and ain't got no hard feelings. Nice one for leaving me your cream, Amanda, and hope you got that Converse back off the roof, Josh. Oh, he threw the shoe on the roof. Man, we need to... It would help us all if Ashley went back to school. Those were hard to read.
Yeah, I don't
know. So now the UK Alliance still has their core four. The Americans are now down to 5 teams. Mm-hmm. Do you have any further thoughts, or should we get to the line of the episode?
You go first with your line of the episode.
My line of the episode, I didn't even mention it. It just made me laugh pretty hard. Is that early on, Jenna describes her team as silent but deadly.
Why? Does that make you think of a fart? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, I guess it made me think of farts. And I actually was having this conversation this past weekend with a friend of mine from Vancouver.
Okay.
And he claims that out west, in Western Canada, they don't say silent but deadly. They say silent but violent.
Wow.
And yeah, which I kind of prefer, but silent but deadly, I think, really gets across the lethality of the farts. So I was curious, like, does Jenna not know what that expression is, or is she making a fart joke? I'm not sure. But it really made me laugh. I was definitely like, oh, Jenna, you're doing the best you can.
Okay.
What was your line of the episode?
You're going to notice a theme, because my line of the episode also comes from my MVP of the episode.
Oh.
And that's Josh, which I know is kind of odd. But Josh's line when he's in the bed with Amanda and he's like, I need that female touch. And she kind of just slaps him like, stop it, you idiot. But then she's like, there's a lot of different women in this house. Why don't you go find someone else in this house and hook up with them? And Josh's line of, "It doesn't benefit me to give them good dick when I could give you good dick." That made me laugh. I thought that was funny. Amanda also thought it was funny, and so did Josh, obviously. But as I said, shoot or shoot. And I'm sorry that they're off the show now, but I would have enjoyed seeing how their relationship grew to be a positive one. But I'm glad to see that at the end of the day.
Yes. I think for me, the person that killed it is, I had an answer for this.
Well, I can go. I can go because my pick is Josh. And the reason why I picked Josh was
go for it.
The reason I picked Josh was because I know they lost and I know they're going home, but I was pleasantly surprised with how Josh went out. And maybe it's because I'm so jaded and I've been talking about it for the whole start of this season that, I thought Josh was going to be a bad player and a horrible partner and he's just going to be a gong show. And, we saw in the trailer the blow-ups that he was going to have, and we saw it tonight. But I think with the reasoning that we're now finding out as to why he was so emotional, the fact that he and Amanda did turn out to be good partners, despite the fact that they were just put together randomly, despite the fact that, they were put up each and every single week. I'm giving Josh a lot of credit here just because of where I thought he was going to be compared to what it actually happened. He surprised me. And for that reason, maybe it's not so much he killed it and he's the MVP, but he's the MIP, the most improved player, if that makes sense. Because they almost won that elimination round. And if they had won that elimination round, how stunned would people be? And I'm giving them marks for almost, I know, but it's because I can't give any credit to Gorilla Ashley. I'm being honest.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I was across the board not super impressed with people this episode, which is why I'm struggling.
It's fair.
And a big part of it was that it's so obvious what needs to be done, and they're not doing it. So I am going to say that Nani killed it for me.
Okay.
Because she is trying her best to rally the troops.
Correct.
And she is using her head. She's being a voice of reason. She and Turbo are clicking. They're doing well. So for me, Nani killed it this episode. I wish I could say that it's, everyone across the board had a super strong episode and she really distinguished herself. She's sort of the one-eyed person in the land of the blind. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because these people got to get their shit together. And, Wes is on target, but everyone else has to stop. They have to get over their bullshit. As Leroy once said, I think it was on one of the Battles of the X's, do you want to get over your bullshit and win some money? And he's right.
True.
He didn't do that this season, but where can the good people find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Shell Alexander and on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. And, of course, also on YouTube, Sheldon Alexander. Like and subscribe.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at jchidleyhill. Doing a lot of golf reporting this summer, so I hope you like Canadian golf. Although next week I'm covering the home opening series between the Toronto Blue Jays and Detroit Tigers.
Hey.
So if you are a Blue Jays fan or a Detroit Tigers fan or a John Chidley Hill fan, please follow me at jchidleyhill.
Yeah.
Until next week, this was You Killed It.
You killed it.
Oh, that was a long one.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Feeling extra spicy.